All right, so here's a trade recap of the IWM bounce. And so, again, for a bounce, the goal for me is to have stack support. All right, so stack support means that, so let's just say, uh, the candle, let's say you want a put, and this is my bearish candle. If it has this pre-market high here, let's say you in a put and it's going your way, right? And you're going to exit or trim before it gets to this point because it could potentially what? Bounce up, right? And so what we're doing is we are catching the bounce up or the pullback, whatever it may be. We're catching it to the upside. So we're getting calls so that if it moves in our direction, we are making money, right? So if it has one support, it could potentially bounce, right? It needs a bearish candle to break through. But what if I have two supports? For this case, I got a pre-market low and an orb low. Because I have two supports, it's going to need more volume or a bigger bearish candle to break through, right? Now, what if I have three, I have four, I have five supports, specifically from higher time frames? Now it's going to need a big bearish candle. And if it doesn't have that big bearish candle, then it's going to potentially bounce up, right? And so for me, I like to have enough space. So you see that right here and right here. There was a lot of space between this, where we caught it at, and the 9 EMA, right? Because it could potentially be, if it is a put, we're catching the pullback. The bounce, we're catching the bounce slash pullback. And we can get our percentage and we can get our money along the way. And if it continues in our direction, we can basically be caught the bottom of the reversal, right? So right here, I told you my levels. I said looking for IWM bounce between 598.35 to 598.06. I said 35 because you got pre-market high, the orb low, previous day low, which is that cross, and then the pivot, which I named right here. That's my rationale because I have four different supports. And I typically like for it to come down to closest to the lowest support so that we can get the best feel. Because if I get in right here, yes, it could potentially bounce early and I miss it, that's fine. But I'd rather get filled down here so I can get the best contract, right? And so down here, the contracts were cheaper than I typically like it. And they were like they were $10 and $8. But they had twice as much volume as the higher strike. So right here, it was $6. It was closest to my level right here at the previous day low. And $6, you can't get better than that. So I said, I entered. So I got filled at $6. I bought whatever, how many I need to. So again, if you typically trade with $100, buy $100 worth. If you typically trade with $500, buy $500 worth. Because they're so cheap, don't just buy 5 of them, right? Because what you're going to do with $30, right? I mean, you could if that's what your money at, but if you typically trade with 100 to 200 to 500 or 1,000, buy that much, right? So cool, we got in. Immediately we were at 25%, again, because each dollar is going to be a lot, right? So then we were at 60%, 75%, and I was trimming around this area right here. I think that was around the time, right? Trimming. And at that point, 75%, cool. Now at that point, I'm playing with house money, meaning I could hold on as long as possible, right? And so what time was we in runners? At 9:11. So at 9:11, we were in runners. So it was around this time. We were in runners. So we trimmed, we secured gains because it could potentially just be a pullback. But no matter what, if it does cross over to the opposite side of the 9, we caught the bottom of the potential reversal. So now, boom, we in there. I could hold on as long as possible because I was still in profit and I secured majority of my gains. And it's not breaking this level, these supports right here. And so now it reversed. And now at this point, we were up 183%. My runners were. There was no reason for me to really get out besides at that point I was exhausted and I only like being in trades for 15, 20 minutes. So we was in this trade for like 40 minutes, which is way more than I like. So I got out, but you still see it kept going and it's still potentially going, right? And so there's no reason to get out because now it's on the opposite side of the 9. And so it's going to continue to trend upwards as long as it doesn't cross back over. So that's why we got in, got out at 83%. The trade lasted about 40 minutes or so. And